talking about today, just reading it off of my screen here, is the tool that I use to reset to soul no matter what's going on in life for ease, abundance, and freedom in all areas now. Okay, so you might have seen, I think I posted about a week ago, a book that I was reading, and overall, I'll be honest, for the most part, I don't read a lot of personal development at this point, self-help, any of that. I went down that journey for a long time, and there can be a lot of benefits to that, especially when you're in a time of growth. But what I found to really serve me in the last 3 to 5 years is starting to tune in inward. And I've had some clients bring that up recently as well, where they notice that they've just been constantly consuming other people's stuff or books or whatever it is. And there's a time for that by all means, but there's also a time to really look inward. And so overall, I'm usually more focused on that. I'm not subscribed to hardly anyone else's emails or newsletters. I'm not hopping onto other people's webinars. You've heard me probably talk about this a lot in the past, for those of you who've been in this community a while, that there's nothing wrong whatsoever with consuming other people's content. It's part of the reason you're here, right? Is to align yourself with a specific frequency, get some guidance on some areas, some step-by-steps potentially to build your business. And it's my greatest joy and honor to get to support you with that. And what you will notice is really unique about this space is I'm not going to tell you, here's how you do it. Now follow exactly how I say, because I don't believe that I'm the expert of your life, and be very, very wary of anyone who tells you that they are. I believe that you are the expert of your life. And so what's really unique and different about this space is I'm going to reflect back to you on repeat, because my gift is I can see exactly who you are. I can see what you're capable of, and help draw from you what is meant for you, what is available for you, and to help you see yourself in that light as well, so that you can have that unlimited knowing and faith and trust in yourself and your destiny, and creating that legendary life that you truly desire, okay? So that's so much of what we focus on in here, is really helping you unlock your unique blueprint for success, to discover what it is that you actually desire to do. This is not just about, how to build a business and make some money online. This is about unlocking what's your unique soul work in this world. What is the work that even if you had $1 million or $100 million in the bank right now, you would still be choosing to get up and do every single day, because it means so much to you. I was talking to a client this morning who was trying to decide what she was going to be doing next in her business, and if this really was the business that she wanted to move forward with. And my recommendation to her was that her soul work be something that is like a nutrient for her. The reason that I get online and do these calls with you, the reason that I have this business, this brand, that I write my, the books that I'm working on, the courses, the creative content, all of it. The reason this all exists is because it is a nutrient to my soul. Yesterday I took a personal day, because my dad has been in town here visiting, and we went to Universal Studios. We've been doing lots of fun things, taking him around, and had a fabulous day yesterday. But I will say the one thing that was really missing for me is I missed my soul work. Lots of times people are like, oh, take a day off. You can, of course, take a day off. Just set it aside for a bit. And of course you can. We're not building businesses here that you have to be on all the time. But what we are doing is creating soul work, discovering soul work that is something that fills you up, expands you, gives you energy, boosts your confidence, helps you know more truly who you actually are. And then what happens when you create and do work in that way is that money and success are a side effect of that. I was talking to one of my amazing clients about this morning. Actually, Samara, you're on here. I'll give Samara a shout out. We were talking about, when it comes to manifesting money, I'm not sitting around going like, okay, this amount of money is coming in. I'm manifesting $100,000. $100,000 is coming in. That's not what I'm focusing on at all. What I'm focusing on is aligning with new frequencies, normalizing new frequencies of money, and letting it be normal to be a multimillionaire, etc., depending on what it is that I'm feeling called to step into. And it's less about, I want to make this amount of money, and it's more about, what's the next experience my soul is inviting me to step into? Because when I ask that question, it feels less like my mind is trying to figure out the money piece, or my ego is trying to make me feel cool or special. And for me, it feels very normal and very, yes, next step for me to start to normalize what it'd be like to have a business that makes $7 million a year, to have a business that makes 20 million a year, and to start to lean and stretch a little bit into what would it look like to have a business that makes 50 million a year. Now, I play with those numbers, not because I have a purpose for the money or anything like that, but because what those numbers actually mean to me is impact. I know that if I take my business from $1 million business to a $7 million business, that means I am impacting at least seven times, if not substantially more, the number of people. That's what I care about. And so when Samara and I were chatting this morning, this was exactly what it was about is, should you be focusing on how to make the money? I never focus on the how to make the money. I focus on, by being my fullest expression, what does that look like? What are the number of people that I would be impacting right now? How would I reach people? Is it through writing? Is it through courses? Is it through art? What is the pathway that I would be sharing through? And if I were being fully expressed in that way, do you not believe that the money piece would be taken care of? So my email list last year was probably around 10,000 people. My focus at this point is to grow it to 100,000 people. Not because that's what I have to do to make the money, because I care about this work so much, and I know that my purpose on this planet is to share this work with as many people as possible. It's part of the reason that I've massively adjusted my business model in the last 3 to 6 months alone. For the first time since I started my business a decade ago, I have no high-level offers. I have no premium offers. Everything is between about $100 and $300 a month. Everything is a more accessible way to work together. And the reason I've done that is because I feel called when I tune in on that question, and I highly recommend you explore this as well. What's the next level my soul is inviting me into or to step into? When I tune in on that, the next level that my soul is inviting me to step into is let myself serve 100,000 people. Then let myself serve 1 million people. If I focus on that, the money will take care of itself. And part of the reason that I love approaching it in this way is people can get really triggered around money, right? But if you start to normalize money as just a side effect of you being all of you and sharing the work that you feel called to share, you start to realize that the whole money thing does not need to be this big of a deal. You didn't come here to struggle with money. You didn't come here to spend your entire life to try to figure out how to have enough. There is work that you are meant to do, and you need to be well resourced in order to do the work and have the impact that you are meant to have. This is not because you're greedy or over the top or too much. It is because the way that our society is set up, we use money as a way to exchange value to receive something else. It's just a tool. We use it to procure lodging, to pay for utilities like electricity and water in order to take care of our health, our well-being, give to things that we believe in. It is not bad for you to have money. You require it. This is one of the simplest pathways that I know to allow it into your life. Discover your soul work. Create a soul-led business in the simplest, easiest way possible. Trust the next aligned step. And know that you are unlocking your unique blueprint for success step by step. It's why I posted in here earlier just a really simple reminder of how easy business can be. The post is in here so you can reference back to it, but it was just this reminder of at the end of the day, if you're getting overwhelmed with all the pieces of starting a business, come back to the intention of growing your email list by one person each day, sharing 3 social media posts a week, and use those social media posts to promote your freebie that's growing your email list, and send out at least 3 emails a week that provide value, show your soulmate people who you really are, and invite them to work with you in some way. Lock in these 3 steps, make them habit, and then you can turn it up a little bit. Then you can start to intend on growing your list a little faster, maybe posting on social media a little more, or a second platform even, or sending out additional emails. But lock in those first 3 steps first. This is not a race to the finish line. This is a lifestyle. I don't think I've said that before, but let's really be clear around this. Building a business, building a soul-led business, I don't care if you're starting from scratch, already have a 6-figure business, 7-figure business, beyond. This is not a race. You're not trying to get somewhere so you can check this off the list and finally feel safe. Your job is to create that internal state of safety and peace, which we will tune into here in just a minute. Your job is to show up for the work, no matter what it looks like outside of you. Your job is to discover that soul work, to share it with the world, to unlock your unique blueprint for success. This is not a race. This is a lifestyle, okay? And when you approach it in that way, there's no longer this fear of, I don't know, is it working? Maybe I should quit. Maybe I should just try something else. You have gone all in on your decision. And you've gone all in on backing yourself with that experience. And so you have the time to let it work, okay? So going back to what we're actually talking about today in a little bit more depth is this tool that I use to reset to soul no matter what's going on in life for ease, abundance, and freedom in all areas. There is a tool that I've come across recently in a book, swinging it back to a book that I came across that I was sharing here in the group in the last week, and why I started talking about not doing a lot of personal development stuff, is it was very serendipitous to come across this book, but of course everything's always adding up, everything's always working out, so it makes sense that this book came across my path and I was drawn to it. It was a girlfriend of mine recommended it, and it's The Greatest Secret, Rhonda Byrne's latest book, which I think is from a couple years ago, but like I said, I'm a bit of a hermit. I'm not caught up in what's going on in the social or whatever, the self-development industry and all of that. So to me, the book is new. So the book is The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Byrne. What I'm loving about this book is it summarizes in really simple, easy, accessible steps many of the steps that I personally use in my own life to completely live free in this modern day society. So we live in a world that is more connected than ever, and in some ways more disconnected than ever. We can be, online with a whole bunch of people at any moment, but it can also lead to all kinds of feelings of fear and anxiety and all sorts of things. So how do we live in this modern world, being all of who you actually are, being your fully expressed self, and also feel safe? Is there such a thing as enlightenment? Is there such a thing as communing with divine? And my approach, my idea is that's what it means to be a modern day mystic, is to be communed with your highest self, whatever you want to call it. God, goddess, universe, any of it. So the tools that are in this book, I think, are fabulous to help bring us back to that space. Because if you can reset to soul, if you can come back to that space of peace and knowing and certainty, no matter what's going on, 1, you're going to feel free and at peace in this moment. 2, it becomes really easy to run a business, to make financial decisions that are going to support you in growing true wealth. I have to take this necklace off. It keeps scratching. And to do so much more. So the way that this book breaks it down is it's this reminder that everything that's bringing you pain right now is basically your resistance to what is. And you've probably heard me talk about that before when, I always forget is it Carl? I want to say Robert. It's not right. The psychologist who says the curious paradox is that when I accept myself exactly as I am, that I can change. This goes for every area. When you accept something exactly as it is, there's this release of resisting energy, which creates a space, a vacuum, and releases energy that you've been trying to use to fight something. This isn't about giving into a crappy situation and this is just how it is. This is saying, I'm going to pause for a minute and not fight this. I'm going to let myself to feel this emotion, feel this feeling, have this thought, not try to be perfect. And from there, then I'll do something else. So when I talk about having this step, this tool that I use, it's something that I've been using a lot here in just the last week, having family visit and stay with us and doing all that. It's very common for all kinds of stuff to come up, right? And I see this a lot of times with many of you, with my clients, that you're like, oh, someone came to visit, or my mom's been in town, or this, and this has happened. How do you keep your life on track when life happens, because life is going to happen. This tool has made such a difference for me. And you can read about it more in the book, but the short of it is, when you feel a feeling or you feel an emotion, you have the awareness to notice what you're feeling, and you ask, am I the feeling, or am I the one observing the feeling? So let's say you just got a bill in the mail, and it was unexpected, and you, oh my gosh, you're feeling kind of freaked out now, I have to figure out how to pay this. Pause. Are you the feeling of fear and lack? Or are you the one who is observing that feeling? Because so much of what has brought me freedom, that you've probably heard me talk about in the past, is I zoom out the perspective. Because what we do as humans is we focus in, and there can be beauty in that and power in that, but the issue is we get so focused on what we think our problems are that we can't see, what is it? Can't see the forest for the trees or something like that. We can't see anything else because we're so focused in on it. In that moment, all there is the bill, and I don't know how I'm going to pay it, and I can't think of anything else, and our minds just take over. The issue is that our minds, we're not our minds, we have a mind. You're not your body, you have a body. And your mind and your body have practiced patterns for years. Meaning, you probably learned from a parent or the media or whatever at some point that money is scary. Maybe you saw your parents fighting over it when you were a kid or whatever it is, and it created a visceral feeling. It created a real feeling in your body of an emotion, a fear or worry. And so anytime now that you have to make a payment, buy your groceries, pay your rent or your mortgage, whatever it is, when you have to interact with money, because you do multiple times every single day, because it's a core tool in our society, you still have that trigger and that wound and that pattern in your mind and in your body that says scary. Now, there's a lot of ways to navigate out of this. We've talked about many in this space and in many of my courses over the years, but the fastest way to do so is to realize and recognize you're not your mind or its patterns. You're not your body or its patterns. You are the one who is observing. You are what I call soul, what in The Greatest Secret Rhonda Byrne refers to as awareness. If you'll take a breath and a beat here for just a moment, you may notice that there is a version of you that is not your mind, that is not your body, that is the part of you that feels a little bit more zoomed out, a little bit more expansive. When I ask you the prompt or the question of, if I remove emotion, what's the next aligned action? What I'm doing with that prompt is I'm putting you in this zoomed out soul space. For those of you who've been in this space for a while, there might be some ahas going on right now. When you think about the prompts that I use on repeat, when I'm helping you get clear on what your actual next step is in business, money, life, etc., what you may notice is pretty much every single one of those prompts, what it does is it shifts you out of the focus and the fear, it zooms out your perspective, it takes you away from the mind and the body for a moment, which are beautiful tools, but they're not who you are at your core, and it puts you back in soul space. Because that's my whole focus of every single thing that I do forevermore, is to help as many people as possible live, make decisions from, experience life from soul. Because when you do that, you will experience infinite freedom, infinite peace, infinite joy, playfulness, silliness. You get to, everything just becomes so much fun and so much easier. You're able to have deep, real, meaningful conversations. You're able to disagree with someone without feeling triggered. You're able to, for instance, today has been an insanely bizarre day. Literally, like minutes before I hopped on here, our house alarm went off for no reason and none of our codes would work. I was like, that's okay. I can navigate out of this. I know the secret to navigate out of anything. It's to go back to soul. And one of the quickest prompts, I mean, we've got a whole list of prompts here that we can use for it, but one of my favorites right now is when I'm feeling a feeling, because I feel anxiety, I feel fear, I feel all those emotions at times still. But the beautiful thing is, I know that I am not that emotion. It's just an emotion that my body and my mind have practiced in the past, that were either taught to me or conditioned, I was conditioned into at some point. Not intentionally usually, but my body got used to creating adrenaline or a specific chemical or hormone that made me feel fear. All your feelings are real and I honor them completely. But what I'm inviting you to do is notice that they are not who you actually are. It's just a feeling. And so, for instance, with the alarm going off basically a minute before I'm supposed to go live, past me could have freaked out, could have went down a spiral of like, oh my gosh, and it's so loud, and like my lovely person who's cleaning is here, and Luke's outside working with some of the yard people, my dogs are freaking out, my poor kitty's upstairs, it has to be so loud, oh, I'm gonna be late, what are people gonna think? I could go down the whole spiral. I could let my mind and my body play out all those patterns and emotions and hormones and chemicals and get freaked the F out. Or I could ask the question, am I the feeling? Am I that fear or that worry or any of that stuff? Or am I the one who's observing the entire situation? Observing how my body responds, observing how my mind responds. I'm the observer. And so when I recognize that, I'm able to open my arms up and stop resisting the feeling. I don't need to resist the fear. This isn't like law of attraction, I love, and also it has freaked some people out that if you think about fear or lack for 2 seconds, it's like going to pop up in your life. It doesn't work like that. You are allowed to feel the fear for a moment, or however long. You're allowed to feel the lack. She does a beautiful job in Greatest Secret of walking through how to actually let yourself feel the things. Open your hands up, let those emotions and feelings in. Go back to what she calls awareness, what I call soul. Because then I'm able to feel it all. You will not believe how quickly those emotions and feelings and thoughts that you have been resisting will move through you if you will stop fighting them. Stop fighting the fear. Stop resisting the frustration or the anger or whatever. I'm not saying lash out and get crazy. Open your arms to them. Welcome. Welcome lack. Welcome fear. Welcome not enough. Let it come in, feel it. It will move through you with grace when you stop resisting. Because when you say yes to life, life says yes to you. Meaning when you stop resisting what is and you're not butting up against like, nope, I don't feel that. Nope, the alarm's not going off. The alarm is going off. There's no reason to fight it. The alarm is going off. I accept that the alarm is going off. I accept any feelings I may feel about it in this moment. I welcome them even. Because all of my emotions and feelings are valid, but they don't make decisions for me. I let myself feel them. And what happens? I'm returned to awareness. I'm returned to soul. And from that state, I can see the entire situation and see it's not a big deal. None of it's ever really a big deal. From there, I'm at peace. And so I'm able to navigate many things, businesses, clients, family members, people who are visiting, yard people, all the things at once from that space without feeling overwhelmed or depleted or any of that. Does this make sense? So in short, you have a body. You're not your body. You have a mind. You're not your mind. Dr. Joe Dispenza goes into this in depth as well. One of my favorite practices when I meditate, which I don't do a ton, but I do it from time to time, is I focus at the beginning on no thing, no one, no where, no body. I release what I think is my identity. I release the personality I've built up around me and how others might see me, how I might see myself, seeing myself as a daughter, as a wife, as a sister, as a friend, as a coach, as a whatever. I let it all go because none of it is actually who I am. What I actually am is soul, having a human experience. And I will just keep resetting back to that because what it does makes business really easy. Because if you go to that soul state, you go to that zoomed out perspective and you come back to like, so what offer should I do? Or what should I call it? Or what should I price it? You have this clear, steady, relaxed energy around it because with love, you're not freaking the F out anymore. If you're trying to make decisions with the mind and the body in this freaked out state of I have to make it work or else, like attracts like. You're making decisions from the energy of freak out and fear. You're going to get more freaked out and fear. When you're letting life flow, when you're saying yes to life, when you're no longer resisting, when you're bringing yourself back to your soul state, automatically you're not resisting. You're not in a space of resistance. What does that mean? You're in flow. You can slip into a space of super flow and be held and supported and guided and lifted through life. This is how we've created $1 million brand with ease, alignment, and flow. This is how we will scale this $1 million brand to multi-million and beyond. And we will do it with ease, without the hustle, without the struggle, without the forced anything. I'm committed to being a living example of this. I'm committed to being a totally normal girl who decided to live life by soul.